Welcome back to NewsNation Rush Hour. Our coverage continues of this breaking news happening this morning at around 11:30 Central Time. A mass shooting in Uvalde, Texas, happening at an elementary school, Robb Elementary School. We know that 14 children are dead, one teacher also deceased. Right now, we also know a 10-year-old girl and a 66-year-old woman are in critical condition. As you can see, correspondent Robert Sherman is live on the scene. Robert, what can you tell us right now?
I can tell you right now, Nichole, that the scene that we are here at, you only have to stand here for a few moments to realize just how heavy this whole situation is. A moment ago, we saw a car slam on its brakes about a block away, and a child ran out sprinting towards the school. This is a small community of only 16,000 people. This is a fluid scene. There's a lot that we don't know at this hour, but here's what we definitively do know. This afternoon, we know that 14 children were killed while they were here at this elementary school that's behind us, 2nd to 4th graders. One teacher was killed as well. The governor tells us that law enforcement responded to the scene. The shooter, they told us, is now dead. There are 2 more people who are currently in critical condition over at the nearby hospital, a 66-year-old woman and a 10-year-old child. This is a small community. This is a tight-knit group of people who live here and who go to this school on a consistent basis. And you can see just walking down the street here how there are families that are standing in their yard gazing incredulously at this scene that is right behind us. Many of them cannot believe that this would happen here in their own community. We know that we are going to be getting new information from local law enforcement shortly. But again, you cannot emphasize enough that there is a lot of information that we still don't know. We've seen people try to speculate or guess at a motive. We are not going to be doing that. Certainly that will become more clear in the coming days. Right now, everything is quite opaque. There are a lot of questions here. Why did this happen? But at the end of the day, the reality is 14 children dead, one teacher. Those families will not be holding their loved ones tonight. And there are 2 more families who are holding on desperately, waiting anxiously to know about their loved ones at the nearby hospital. Nichole?
And Robert, as you speak to us, we are taking a look at pictures from earlier today from the scene. Just absolutely tragic. Robert, I know you're live there on the scene. Describe for us what we're seeing now. At this point, we're about 5.5 hours removed from the actual shooting. So describe what you're seeing on the ground.
Well, here right now, we've seen that this whole area has been cordoned off. For the most part, where we're standing right now is a heavy media presence. This is a very residential neighborhood. You go street to street here, and it's all homes. And again, you see a lot of people who are just standing on their front lawns, just waiting to know more information. And that is the thing that is so abundantly clear down here, Nichole. There are still so many questions. There's still this utter disbelief in the air that something like this would be happening in this small of a community, a town of 16,000 people, just a couple hours away from San Antonio, a little over an hour away from the U.S.-Mexico border, really just caught in between all these different communities. Many very clearly distraught by what has happened here today. Most of the families we know are over at the reconciliation area, where a lot of these families are regathering with their other loved ones in order to learn more information, reconnect with their children who are inside. So you don't see much in the way of families out here at this hour, just a lot of stunned faces from neighbors.
And for our viewers at home, we do have a little bit of a delay with Robert Sherman, so that's why it's taking a bit of time for him to answer. But Robert, I do want to ask you, because you are NewsNation's border correspondent, you are many times in these towns that are very close to the U.S.-Mexico border. Kind of talk to us about some of the aspects that would make Uvalde unique, because it is essentially a border town.
Right, a little over an hour away from the U.S.-Mexico border. A lot of these communities are have a heavy Hispanic influence here. We know that for a fact. We know a lot of these towns, again, removed from a lot of the major metropolitan areas such as San Antonio. So, I mean, you look around here, it is so peaceful. It is quintessential suburban America here. When you walk around this community, it's just such a small, quiet town that's just caught right in the thick of this utterly horrific scene. And you heard the governor say earlier that situations like this, they are unacceptable. They cannot be tolerated here in the state of Texas. He said that law enforcement action going forward will be swift as they try to get to the bottom of this whole situation. I just cannot emphasize it enough, Nichole, is that especially when we see situations like this, there's a lot of speculation that swirls. But we're taking this one step at a time, going with what we know definitively at this hour and what is crystal clear, not what is opaque.
Absolutely. Robert Sherman live for us at the scene in Uvalde, Texas. Robert, stick around. We're obviously going to check back in with you. Thank you for that. Thank you for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.